The subunits are integral in the Love Live franchise. They bring in a new style and a distinct personality that diversifies the music that they offer. With subunits like BB, Azalea, Guilty Kiss, and Quartz, the Love Live franchise offers so much. The groups were crafted over time and they used a lot of polls to help form them. Fan input was integral in the creation of every subunit, and that's how we got to the subunits we know today. With careful input on who should be paired with each, as well as well thought out reasoning for the group name, we got pairings that seem like a no-brainer today. But what if we decided to do the exact opposite? What if we tried to make the worst subunit? Now, what do I exactly mean by that? Measuring the level of quality of a subunit is often subjective to the person. It could be the style, the voices, the chemistries between the girls, or just how well the voices blend together. Someone may be a Guilty Kiss fanatic, but hate Siren due to their more childish style. However, that info is dependent on the songs that come out. There is no way that these groupings will get their own songs that we're about to develop, so it's hard to try and say it has a style, so we'll just focus on the other sections that I mentioned. This shouldn't be about throwing all your worst girls into a subunit, and that won't be the same for me. I'll not do that. That may get you the worst possible subunit in your eyes, but then the other two subunits for that section will probably have much higher quality. My goal is to have all subunits being as bad as possible overall. This requires to balance the level of anti-chemistry among the girls, and it raises the difficulty of making each subunit. I want to try to make the subunits that would make the least amount of sense overall. The idea of creating the worst subunits was suggested by me by a person in the community, Nico Makura, if I said that right. But I want to expand the idea a little bit more. I'll be making 3 sections to this idea, and I'll explain my choices, and then I'll explain how you guys can vote for your worst subunits. So for me, the 3 sections I'll have is the worst possible subunits. The second section will be worst subunits, so still in the same group, but no other rules. And then we'll have the final section, which is worst grouping out everyone. I'll explain what these mean later. So let's start out with the first section, the worst possible subunits. By possible, I am taking the following guidelines that the Love Live franchise has set out. In order to understand what I mean by that, let's have a quick review of what rules they were set when generating all 9 subunits that were created before. For Love Live School Project, the subunits were to be created by taking the girls from the Muse and make 3 subunits of 3. In the Dengeki comic, they had 3 leaders, which these leaders will be the leader of each individual subunit. So we had the leader known as Honoka, Umi, and Ellie. Those leaders will be the eventual leaders of Printemps, Lillywhite, and BB. The other girls will be added through the polls in the subunits. 5 combinations were given to choose from, so in that situation we're going to try to pick the worst choice out of the ones they give us. So in this case, I cannot have Honoka, Ellie, and Umi in one subunit because they're the leaders, so they have to be separate. The official worst place pattern was pattern 1. For Aquaz, we have a very similar situation. While there's technically is no leaders, Chika, Hanamaru, and Mari are kind of like the leaders. They function as them, but they aren't actually the actual leaders of the group. But they couldn't be paired in a group. So, not officially leaders, but it functions the same way, and this time we had 6 choices, as you can see here. The official worst pattern was number 5. For Nijigaku, the only rule we need really worry about is the subunits had to be a 2, a 3, and a 4 combination, so we had a duet, a trio, and a quartet. That's the only rule they set there, but anyone could have been with anyone. It's just how we explained it is how we got to where we are. Now with the history explained, let's get to my choices. For part 1, before I begin, I want to say that picking the objectively worst grouping is pretty hard. What qualifies as the worst? Before the subunits formed, we didn't necessarily see as much chemistry between those girls. Now it seems obvious, but that's because a lot of thought and reasoning has been put in the formation, group, and name. I'm pretty convinced that the Love Live franchise can make almost any combination work if they put in enough effort. Can a group of like Riko, Hanamaru, and Mari work? Does that even make sense? Not a whole lot. But nope, there was a song that had that group, Natsuo and no Tobita Never End version, so I guess it can work. So anyways, let's start this off. For the Muse, the pattern that 1 is pattern 2, so obviously that can't be the worst pattern, assuming that most people like that pattern. Now I could just cheap out and say pattern 1 was the worst because it was the least favorite in the official poll, though I won't just say that because obviously what's the point in even saying that. For me, the 2 worst patterns though are pattern 1 and pattern 5, which were the 2 worst rated ones, but it's like I agree with most people why. So the worst pattern for me is, well, still pattern 1, but just by a little. Taking a look at pattern 1, I can see some minor chemistry amongst the members. The Honoko and Kotori combo already works, and Nozomi voice will still work, I would feel. I feel that Rin could work with Ellie and Nico, but a slightly more odd choice when it comes to character chemistry. Well, but I guess it could be workable. I would like to see Maki and Ellie, but Haneo is just thrown in there, which makes 0 sense to me. Haneo has nothing to really do with them. Yeah, we both have Maki and Haneo, and that's kind of a first year grouping, but you know, you are almost kind of forced to have that kind of deal. And out of those choices, yes, there is some minor chemistry, but you could kind of say that with almost every single group. So how does this compare with pattern 5? Well, the C combination is pretty similar. The B combination has the Epona Rin combo, which is way better than the Maki Rin combo, but Ellie is definitely a third wheel in that section. And the A combination has Nico Nozomi, which I guess has some merit to it. There is a song with both of them, so yeah, that does have some merit. But Honka feels like a third wheel in that group. They all have the higher pitch though, so I think overall this grouping is slightly better than 1, as I think there could be a tiny bit more of a better stylistic image that each group can make than say group 1. So for Aquas, the pattern that 1 is pattern 4, and the least voted pattern is pattern 5. Out of those options, I still think pattern 1 and 5 are the worst, and that's kind of oddly convenient, but I still think those are the worst. Now the reason that I feel that 5 isn't as poor as 1 is that all 3 singers just swapped one member around this pattern, so we already can see a little bit of chemistry there already. Ruby left the top choice to go to the bottom choice, Yoshiko left the bottom choice to go to the middle. So I will do admit the character swapping from the current subunits we have do feel a bit odd, but there is at least some form of chemistry amongst characters. Chika and Yo definitely have some form of chemistry. I think I know there was that episode where Yo was kind of crying and all that, but I'm pretty sure there's some chemistry there. Now Hanemaru and Yoshiko have some form of chemistry, I would suppose. And I think the voices will make an excellent subunit. The bottom subunit, yeah, I'm not too sure about that, though their character colors do line up nicely. Can't really imagine Ruby in a Guilty Kiss-like subunit though. Now for pattern 1, Yoshiko would not work in a Sidon-like subunit. The middle section with Riko, Dai, and Hanemaru could form a Azalea-like group. I think Riko can do a decent job at fitting in there. I always thought she was a strange inclusion into Guilty Kiss, but I guess she does have that major chemistry with Yoshiko, so I guess sure. And I think she does a fine job there, so I think she could do a fine job in an Azalea kind of like group or a Guilty Kiss like group, so in this case an Azalea kind of group. Now Riko, Dai, and Hanemaru, I don't think they have that much chemistry amongst each other, but I think at least the voices could work very well. The last section, I'm not sure what to make of this group. I think the voices would work fine, but the only chemistry I see is Kana and Mari, but I don't know what Yo's doing in there, so I think she feels rather odd in there, but I think the voices could make some form of decent group. I'm not sure what the style would be, but it could work. Lastly, let's hit Nijigaku. I had to create a combination of a 2, 3, 4, and since there's no other rules, I can put whoever I want with whoever I want. So to do it, I picked the liveliest character and the least liveliest character, which will be pretty obvious to you guys, Ai and Kanata. Pretty polar opposites in personality, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to be in a group. I love both of their voices, but I like most of the Nijigaku voices, so I can't say that is very important in making these subunits. I would love to hear a duet by them. I love both of their voices, and they've been my top solos for Nijigaku period. So I imagine if they were to make a duet, it probably more like My Own Fairy Tale. Well, we'll have to see. It's gonna be a strange combination. But, you know, I assume they can make anything work if they really wanted to. For the trio, I put Ayumu, Kasumi, and Kaden. Ayumu is that innocent girl who'll fall prey to Kasumi, and both girls won't really mesh well with Kaden's more mature style. Kasumi is a bit more goofy, and the other girls, not so much. And in terms of style of music, they all are quite different, so I don't see why this combination would make that much sense. Lastly, the quartet would include Setsuna, Rina, Shizuku, and Emma. I could see some minor connections in style with Rina and Setsuna. Rina has a bit more of an electronic style, which could go great with Setsuna's rock and roll kind of style. However, Shizuku and Emma are the opposites. Now, Shizuku and Emma can definitely mesh well together, but this group is like two opposites put together. But that could make it interesting, but that would require making two different styles in a song that don't really necessarily naturally blend well together, so that could be a lot of work trying to mix two groups that don't quite necessarily make sense. So let's take a look at part 2. So for part 2, I'll be doing it in the way that most people would probably think this is how I would have done it originally. I'm going to ignore the formula that Love Live franchise has set and make the subunits however I want. That means for Muse and Aquas, I do not have the leaders, so I can put Honoka and Ellie in a group if I want to. But I don't have to, I just have that ability to. And for Nijigaku, I'll be using the 3-3-3 formula because that's technically the only rule that has set, and I'm not going to just copy and paste the one I created for 2-3-4 because honestly, if I really thought that was the worst for 2-3-4, how could I make a second one? I don't know, I could offer another combination, but I'm not going to do that. I think doing a 3-3 combination will be a little bit more interesting to speculate. So for Muse, here are the combinations I will make. The first group will consist of Honoka, Maki, and Nozomi. Beyond the initial interactions they have amongst each other, it's honestly not that much. They had to interact since Honoka was the leader and all, but overall they don't interact that much with each other. They are all from different subunits and they all have different styles. Maki fits the least in this grouping, so we'll have to see how that works, but I don't think that works that much at all. The second group is Haneo, Umi, and Nico. Umi and Nico are quite polar opposites to say the least, and I can't really imagine what this group would be. Haneo is shy like Umi, but that's not a music style. Haneo doesn't really interact with Umi that much, and perhaps she does with Nico, and they both love idol, so there is that, but that's not a whole lot to draw from. So yes, you might think there might be some minor chemistry with Haneo and Nico, but it's pretty minimal at best, and I don't know what Umi's doing there, and she's kind of little. She has the shyness aspect, so, but you can't really make a style out of that per se, so I don't think this makes a whole lot of sense. Lastly, I have Ellie, Kotari, and Rin. What do any of these girls have to do with each other? Not much really. Ellie, and I guess to an extent Rin, have slightly deeper voices, which really contradicts Kotari's higher voice. Rin is energetic, but Kotari and Ellie are not as lively. Kotari is a bit more gentle and cutesy, and Ellie's got a bit more of that mature style that BB creates. So overall, we get kind of a strange mesh of styles that don't really work so well together. Next up, Aquas. The first grouping now will be Chika, Mari, and Hanamaru, which there's something there, I suppose. What do they have in common? Not entirely sure. I could kind of see this grouping work, but it would probably be more of a goofy group. As Chika is the leader of Aqua, she did have some interaction to Mari and Hanamaru, but that's not too much compared to the rest of the three groupings I made. I feel like this is probably the most likely, as I wasn't able to really make three really bad subunits. So yeah, this could be possible. Although Mari is in Guilty Kiss, I could see her being in more of a Sidon kind of style group, as she is the meme master, as many people will put it. Hanamaru is a goofball, and Chika can be amusing at times too. For the second group, I have Yo, Yoshiko, and Daya, and all have like nothing to do with each other. Vocal wise, I could see it working, but I think a lot of Aquas can work with each other, so I can't really focus too much on that aspect. Yoshiko has a strong personality that led Guilty Kiss into what kind of style it is. Guilty Kiss is very different from the persona of Yo and Daya. Daya is super traditional, and Yo is more of a lively, active girl. I would probably despise wearing such outfits as indicated when Ruby wore them in the anime. It just seems a bit too conflicting to have all of them in one kind of group. Now the group can go for more of a mellow version of that or a different style completely. That I could see happening. But wait, you tell me, Yo and Yoshiko did Jimo Ai Mata Summer Life, so just slap Daya in and it works. Okay, to be fair, that is true, Yo and Yoshiko did sing that song, but just because two of them sing a song together doesn't mean it's necessarily a sense of grouping. My point is that this grouping could work, but it's much harder to get what this group should be. It's kind of a mishmash of styles that don't necessarily work as well, and it'll be harder to find a balance that matches every character's personality. With Yoshiko, you probably at least minimum want a little bit more of a rocky kind of style, and if you want Dai, maybe a little bit more traditional elements, so maybe more like a Mai Mai Tanai kind of style. I'm not sure how Yo could bring her own style into that, but you know, you're kind of getting limited in what you can do. The last group is Riko, Ruby, and Kana. I could see Riko and Kana trying to go for a classic kind of style, but not sure how Ruby fits into that. Ruby definitely brings more of a cutesy kind of style, and she belongs in those cutesy kind of groups. Riko and Kana, not so much. Riko does not have to bring that Guilty Kiss kind of style that she has, and that's just because of more of a dynamic that Yoshiko brings out of her. Riko can definitely be more classy, as shown by her solo song Piano Forte Monologue. So I'm not entirely sure what this group would be. I figured Riko and Kana could form something together. I'm just not sure how Ruby would put in there, so that's why I kind of made that my choice. Lastly, for Nichigaku, I put 3 groups of 3. The first summon would be Ai, Kanata, and Shizuku. Like I said before, Ai and Kanata are opposites in terms of styles and energy. Shizuku has a bit of a slower and more kind of dramatic style, which I guess is closer to Kanata, but Kanata tends to be more lighthearted than Shizuku, so I feel it's a bit off to have them together. The song style will have to be kind of a mix of styles, so again, my own fairy tale kind of style, maybe all 3 would work, but throwing a little bit more flair from Ai's kind of personality and style, maybe. For the second subunit, I decided to put Ayumu, Kasumi, and Karen. And yes, I'm cheating, this is the same as before. Honestly, if I thought that was one of the worst subunits, I don't see why this wouldn't be my choice again. So, yeah. And the last subunit is going to be Setsuna, Rina, and Emma. So, more or less, same thing as before. I just stole Shizuku and put it into the duet. So the same thing before, I just feel like taking out Shizuku, she kind of had a little bit more chemistry. I basically tried to take the character that made the least sense with Ai and Kanata and made the most sense in that grouping. So that's more or less how I formed all these groups. Now lastly, let's hit part 3. So finally, I'll be making the worst subunit combination I could possibly make out of all the 3 big groups. The 3 that I decided to put together from the Muse Aqua and or Nijigaku is Yoshiko, Umi, and Kanata, which I'll call Yuck by taking the first letter from each of their names. Yes, I'm creative, and yes, I spend definitely a lot of time thinking of that name. But Yoshiko has a big personality that it really does not match the more timid and traditional Umi. And Kanata likes, well, to take naps, and you know, Umi could be very strict in training, and that doesn't seem like it'll bode well with Umi. So we have Yoshiko and Kanata that kind of will aggravate Umi, and Umi doesn't work well with Kanata, Kanata doesn't work well with Yoshiko, Yoshiko doesn't work with Umi, so none of them seem to really work well together. As for song style, yep, who knows. There, Umi had like her first solo song could indicate she could work a little bit more with Yoshiko's kind of style, but it can't go full Yoshiko, and then Kanata's kind of a third wheel in that sense. In terms of all voices, I think it could work. I can definitely see them in a different anime, all singing songs together. So I would like to at least listen to the song. In terms of voices, I would enjoy them, and I think they do have a decent amount of chemistry, as they're all kind of a deeper voice. But in terms of chemistry, it's so bad I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. Overall, I'm glad I am not the one who has to make the subunits work. This hurts my head trying to make the group that makes the least sense. Most girls have something that could work with other girls, so you can't possibly just make a group that has zero chemistry within everyone. Perhaps they are best friends, or maybe they have similar personalities or style, or maybe they have voices that will just work well together. Yet something that has literally none of those things working together just seems impossible. No matter what, there is almost always something that the girls will have in common, so this just goes to show how difficult this can be to make the objectively worse. Even with my choices, I'm sure the Love franchise will find a way to make these things work if they really wanted it to. So now it's time for you guys to help make the worst subunits. The subunit creation process will be separated into multiple parts. So first, I'm going to separate it into 2 polls. So the first poll will be the first one that will be available. The first poll is where you will be submitting your choices for the worst subunits. For Muse Aqua, you'll be doing the 3-3-3 combination, and for Nijigaku, you'll be doing the 2-3-4 choice. Make sure you explain to me why you made that choice. I will pick my top 9 favorite submissions as well as my submission because obviously I'm biased, so that'll give 10 choices, which later we will have you guys vote on those choices. We will be not looking at the choices that gave us before because honestly it already happened. We already know kind of the idea who would pick which ones, so I don't think it's very interesting to be forced to pick the 5 choices from Muse or the 6 choices from Aquas because it already happened. So we're going to just go straight up to we'll be making it and just explain why. At the end, you can also make the worst subunit possible out of all the 27 main girls, which is the same thing as my part 3. So if you want to do that and make a grouping of out of all the girls, go ahead and put it there as well. The second poll, after I close the first poll and announce the results, we can begin the second poll. I'll take the top 10 and let you pick your choices from that. So more or less, the second poll is just the first poll. Once it complete and pick my top 10, you guys pick your favorite, or least favorite, I guess, the worst subunit in your eyes for each individual group. So obviously that can't be possibly available yet because I have to have enough submissions and time to decide who I think is the worst of all the choices. After a given amount of time, I'll close the poll and I'll announce who will be in the worst subunit possible. So we'll have the worst choices for Muse, Aqua, and Nijigaku, and we will have the official worst subunit if we're able to combine all the girls. So we'll have 4 different winners, losers. I don't know how you want to call it. I don't know if winning is the right word, but maybe winning at losing, I guess. So after a while, we'll decide which grouping is the worst that we can have. Make sure you guys get to brainstorm for the worst subunits. The link to the poll is in the description below, and if you like doing polls, I have a link to Google Sheet where it will have all of my polls, so you can go and click on those links if you want to see all the polls that are currently still up at that moment. I try to keep it updated as much as possible, and I also try to link to the result videos if you want to see the results for those as well. So of course I will make another video when I am going to open up the second poll, so you guys will know and go ahead and vote on that. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know, what do you think is the worst grouping? Are mine choices the worst or best, I guess? Like in a pet, I don't know. Not sure if that's something I'll be proud of, if you think it is the worst or best. But anyways, I appreciate you guys for staying, and make sure you guys vote on my polls. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to catch you guys in another video soon.